Now let's look at this in action. On the left side here, we have the database. This is the description of all the items we have that we can loan out or borrow. On the right side is the user interface. This is what the user is going to see, what the student's going to see when they want to borrow. You can see the first item we have is item 10001, so 10,001, and we have the description is classroom 104. And of course, over here on the right side, the user can see this. They can click sign out, they can see a photo of it, they can go ahead and see the status. It's checked in, so they can borrow it. However, over here on the equipment side, if we change this drop-down menu to be broken, and on the right side, you're going to see that it should change, and you will not be able to borrow it anymore. So the next item that comes up is 10022, and that's the same as 1022 over here, room 104. So the key for 104. So the whole classroom equipment for 104 is gone, not usable, not borrowable, because it's out of commission, it's broken, being repaired or something. It's just not good. The only way it will show up on the right side where the user sees it is that it's set to good. And here you go, you see good comes up. Now we have 10001. So this is a perfect example of how you see that these sheets can update live very quickly. Unlike another example where we publish to HTML, which could take up to 5 minutes for data to be updated at its longest, sometimes faster, but this is live. It happens right away. And the reason we can do this is because we're linking these pages using the code we just looked at over here, which is the import range. The import range will update right away. So you're grabbing data from one document and bringing it over to another document. Now we've done this before, but we've often done it between tabs. So inside the same document between tabs. But here we're actually importing it from another document. That's called import range. And then when we import, we can go ahead and import everything, or we can import just some things. And if we want just to have some things, we go ahead and we need to use the query. And the query means to request just some data, and we have to combine query with select and tell it, what do you want? What kind of data do you want? From the import range, I just want these two columns where the first column, this one here, says good. So we go ahead and we grab B, C, D, and if B says anything else that's not good, then we don't grab that data. You see, so we end up, we didn't grab that one, we grab the next one instead because it does say good. Again, if we change that also to be repair, then that one will also go away and will be the next unit, next item in the list, 10002. Again, if I then set this to good, now this item will pop up, 10001, the classroom 104. And then the next one is classroom 216, which is down one. I set it to good. Now all of them should appear. There we go. So we see everything. So that's an example of how to grab data from another document. You need to know the document's ID, and then you need to specify where you're going to grab it from, what tab, and then what area. You could grab everything, but usually we want to select part of it, and that's done with a query. Let's look back now at the user interface. This is what the user is going to see. And here's the cell where we just put that formula, which is C4. We have query import range, get the list of equipment as long as it's good. Okay. Now, if we come down to the next cell, you can see we do not have any formula. This is just the text that we've drawn in from the other page from the database. Also, if we go to D column, there's no code here because again, this is just grabbing the data. It's showing you what is on the other page. So if I was to delete this, we're going to lose all that data because it's not grabbing anything anymore. Let me undo that. Now the formula is grabbing that data. So if I was to just remove this formula, it messes up everything because this is a key part. We're grabbing that data of what's available. What are the items that can be borrowed? And if I come down here, there's no code. So it's very straightforward. So we're filling in everything from the other sheet and bringing it over. Therefore, it fills in all of C and it fills in all of D. Remember, in the end, we only wanted to grab column 2 and column 3, which was C and D. We didn't want to grab B. We're just using B to test. Is B good? If it's good, then we go ahead and grab that data. However, we do have more information on this page. So where does this other information come from? How do we make this? Well, C and D are coming from the database, the equipment description. But here we have a nice formula, and this begins on E. And E is a very interesting formula that we're going to look at next. Okay, now let's look at the formula that we're using to show the in and out status, which is this whole area up here. So all of this here, we're going to use a formula to judge if the item is in or if it's out, and if it's out, who has it. How do we get that kind of data? Well, the way we get that is we're going to write a formula again, and this formula is going to be in this current status column here. So this is A, B, C, D, E. So we're in this E column here. So from the E column, we're going to go ahead and create a formula. And the formula we're using is this one here. Now this one's a little bit too long, so I'm going to cut it down a bit. At the beginning, we have an if. And the if is for C4. So A, B, C. And it's testing if C4 is empty. So if there's no number here, then do something. And if there's no number here, then it's actually just going to go ahead and skip everything. We don't need to show anything. So I'm not going to go over that. And we also have a special command here called if error. And if error means that if something happens where the data has a problem, you don't want the page to show error because the user will get confused what's going on. So we're going to go ahead and show something different, which in this case, we tell it to show it's already in. So if there's an error, we just say in, or we say nothing, something like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and skip those parts because I don't think they're the most important. You could write the formula without them, basically. I'm going to go ahead and skip that, but use this sub part of it, which is the most important part, which is similar to what we just covered. So here we have a query, and we also have a import range. So we're going to import range. We're going to grab data, and we're going to grab it from where? We're going to get that key, which is the ID to the page that holds all of the equipment information. And we're going to go to borrow modified. We're going to come over the management, borrow modified, and this is where the student's form data has come in and we've modified it. So the form data comes in the form responses, and we grab it and we bring it over here, and we add a few other columns such as the in, the check-in, the check-out, and we rearrange things a bit. So we're going to grab this here. Now what are we going to grab from there? Well, we're going to go ahead and try to get the A2 all the way to the end of L. We have no number here, so it goes all the way down to the bottom. So it's A2 all the way over to L and then all the way down. So A2 would be A, and then 2, the second one, all the way over to HIJKL, all the way over here, which is the end of the data we have, and then all the way down. So in other words, it's basically going to grab everything we have here. And so when it grabs everything, we create a table that we've selected. And again, it's got A, B, C, all the way to L. It has 1, 2, 3, all the way to the end. And so in our query that we're about to use, this first column becomes column 1, COL1, and the second one is COL2, all the way over to COL, whatever the last one is, 12, I think. Okay, so here we have the query, and for query we need to have some data. So this is the data right here. So all of this here is this table, and then we're going to have a comma and then select. So in this table, select, we want column 1, column 8, column 3, column 17, and column 12. Now, why are we doing it this way? Because we're changing the order. We don't want column 1 and then column 13. We want 18 first, and then we want 13, and then we want 17, then we want 12. Of course, if we come back over here, we can see what those are. Now, do we want to select everything? No, we want to do a where. Only some of these data do we want. Now, what do we want? Well, we want to check that column 14 is equal to, and then here we have a quotation mark and a quotation mark, and then here we have the ampersand and the C4. Now, what is C4? C4 is this number here. So then what we're doing is we're saying here is the data of all of the equipment. I want to grab this, but now I want to check which one of these is the 10001. Which one is that one? That's what I want. So I'm going to check column 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And which one is 10001? This is the row I want to grab. And we're going to check if column 1 is not equal to, look at that carefully, not equal to in. So we're checking for this one specific piece of equipment. Is it not checked in? So we come over here and we look for this piece of equipment. We're going to search for all of the items that have been borrowed. We're going to look for the item number 10001, and then we're going to check that it's not in. And if it's not in, then we're going to go ahead and show who borrowed it, etc. But if it is in, then we're not going to show that. We're just going to say it's in. Now, let's come over here and look at this example here. This is the data that has come in from the form and we've modified it. So form data comes in here and we've modified it. Let's look at this case of 10002. This is room 216. So here you can see someone borrowed it and took it out. When students bring it back, they check it in. And so when they check it in, you can see down here, we have the same piece of equipment, 10002, but now it's checked in. So when it gets checked in, the staff should come over and double check and make sure that it was checked in and it was okay. So they will go ahead and check it in, check in. You can see here, it says clearly staff change here. Nothing else gets changed, only the staff changes here. And don't forget, the users, the students, do not see this page. This is only the staff sees this page. So when a piece of equipment is checked out, then checked out here, the staff will come in here and say, okay, now we're waiting, or they could say reserved. I'm going to say waiting to come back. And before it comes back, we're just waiting. And so we want to check if this piece of equipment is out, as in this case. Now this piece of equipment can be borrowed many, many times. And if we look back here, we can find that this 10002 has actually been borrowed and brought back many times. So here's an example. Check out, check in. The same piece of equipment. We could keep going up here and find more and more examples of it being checked out and checked in. You see, so we have check out and then check out. Another piece of equipment is checked in, checked out, checked out. So the same piece of equipment can be checked in and checked out many times. But we don't care about the many times before. We only care about the last time. What happened last time? And so what we want to do is we want to find the very final one. So when we selected the data, we selected based on this number here, which is the 10001 example. If we choose that piece of equipment, we're going to have many matches because it was checked out, checked in, checked out, checked in. So what we do is we add a little bit here. And first of all, we go ahead and we order by column 3. And if we come back and we can see what is column 3, well, this was the first one we grabbed. So this is 1, 2, and 3. That's going to be the timestamp. So when we say order by column 3, what we mean is order by the time, right, and the date. And we're going to use descending, which means it's going to go from the biggest to the littlest. So the last time will be first because that's bigger, and the earlier time will be last. So this piece of equipment would have been out and then in, and then out and then in, and then out and then in many, many times. But we don't care about all these times. We only want the final last time. So first we order by the date timestamp. Then we do descending, which means the biggest number first, which means the last date. And then we do this limit to 1. That means we just grab the very last one. So in this example down here, if we're looking at this classroom 216, item number 10002, we want to grab the very last one. Now, in our case, we have the very last one here is check-in. So somebody did check it in. But let's pretend they didn't check it in. And so it's still waiting. So if it's still waiting, then it will show up that it's out. And when it's out, we want to go ahead and show this information here, that it's out and that it's being used and who has it. On the other hand, if it's not out, we want to show nothing here. Let's go ahead and change this to be checked in. And then if we go to the user interface, you see it changes to be it's checked in, because the last item is it's checked in and it's all okay. And And now the user could come over here and click sign out. However, if it never got returned and it's still waiting, now we can see it's out, and the only option is to sign in.